Here are 10 DC compact comics that we'd like to see hit the compact comic line. Hello, everyone. I'm Comic Chic, and I'm joined by my friend and fellow host Firefly. We're here to bring you 10 more compact DC comics that we'd love to see hit the line. We base these choices on some of the characters that are going to hit the new DC cinematic universe, and those characters that are confirmed by James Gunn to either appear in their own movies or appear in other movies across the DC cinematic universe, or whatever it is they're calling it these days. So yeah, let's dive right into it. So first up, we've got Booster Gold. Obviously, we've heard that there is a Booster Gold TV show in the works. They still haven't cast Booster Gold yet. And so we wanted to come up with some stories or storylines that are complete or somewhat complete, at least the arcs, and ones that people can go into, whether they have some knowledge of the character or they don't. Something that will just be a good read in the compact comic form. So we chose Booster Gold Volume 1, 52 pickup trade paperback, collecting Booster Gold number 1 to 6 from the 2007 run by Jeff Johns, Jeff Katz, Dan Jurgens, and Norm Rapman. This is a great Booster Gold run. It works really well for people who are both familiar with the DC universe and those that aren't, because if you remember, it's them going through significant events in DC's past and making sure that there's certain time shenanigans that don't mess up the entire continuum or timeline. It's a lot of fun. They hit up plenty of different things, hit up plenty of different corners of the DC universe. Everybody loves Booster Gold and his companion Skeets. The first 4 issues, we've seen tons of different characters. We see them go visit the Flashes. We see them go visit Jonah Hex in the Western timeline. Western era. We see them just do all kinds of fun stuff. So, what better place to start than with Booster Gold in this run? Yeah. So, Final Crisis: Legion of Three Worlds, collecting the first 5 issues. Another great run because this consolidates multiple Legion continuities into one, kind of does a little bit of a cleanup. Whether it does so successfully or not, I'll leave that up to you. But it is a fantastic run with gorgeous artwork. Nobody does, big bombastic events with tons of characters better than George Perez. And I think this is a fun little Legion book for people to, it is complicated for newer readers, but it is super, super, it's a super fun run. It has amazing artwork. And I feel like, given how Legion continuity will probably never be properly reconciled, it's not the worst thing to start at. It also give people a baseline understanding, perhaps, of why Legion continuity is so messed up. But yeah, it was between this and The Great Darkness, and The Great Darkness already just got another re-release in trade paperback and has an upcoming deluxe edition release. So we chose to go with Final Crisis: Legion of Three Worlds. Next up, we've got the Terrifics. So yes, originally we obviously wanted to highlight Mr. Terrific with him being a character that's going to appear in the upcoming James Gunn DC universe, DC Cinematic Universe, or whatever they're calling it. And he is obviously slated to appear in Superman. We've got photos of Mr. Terrific out there already. So it's really exciting stuff. I could have picked his solo run, like the New 52 run, but I didn't because I thought the Terrifics was better, especially since we're going to get Metamorpho in the DC universe as well. And I think we've already, there are rumors that we're getting Plastic Man as well.
Yeah, I think if we're getting Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho, odds are we're probably getting all 4 of them at some point.
Yeah. So this is a wonderful run. It lasted surprisingly long for a run of its kind in the modern era. It was such a fun run. One of my favorite runs personally. I have all the issues. I have all the trades as well because I love rereading this book. It's by Jeff Lemire, Dale Eaglesham, and Michael Atiyah. It's really, really good because I feel like the trades are starting to get a little bit hard to find. They weren't super heavily printed when they were released. So is it volume 2 or 3, I believe, is out of print, and it's worth a pretty penny. It's like $60 at least or something like that, even though the retail price is way less than that. So I feel like this would be a really good run to print in the DC Compacts comic form. It's a good way to introduce readers to these characters and show them, what the team dynamics are like, and also get people on the ground level of characters who will appear in the movies. Mainly Terrific and Metamorpho for now. So yeah,
a little bit of self promo here. If you don't know much about Mr. Terrific and you want to learn more about him, we made a video about Mr. Terrific, diving into his history, his powers, his character. So if you don't want to maybe read the Terrifics run and you just want to learn about Mr. Terrific, check out that video.
Yeah, we'll pop a link in the description.
So next up, we got Flashpoint. Flashpoint 2011, collecting issues 1 to 5 by Jeff Johns, Andy Kubert, Sandra Hope, and Alex Sinclair. Flashpoint is one of DC's biggest events in the last decade, I want to say, maybe a couple of decades. It's been adapted multiple times, twice in live action, both in the Flash CW TV show and in the recent Flash movie. There's a lot of mixed opinions about Flashpoint. For me personally, it was one of the first, big DC events that I ever read in my life. I connected a lot of characters, and it left major effects on not just Flash, but Batman, Superman, Atlantis, Wonder Woman. So it's not just a story about Flash, even though he is at the heart of it. But the extended Flashpoint universe is what is my favorite part about it. So I would definitely consider checking it out if somehow you haven't read it by this point yet.
Yeah, we were really surprised when we were doing research for this one because it's been reprinted several times.
So
and
many
yeah,
times.
it is divisive, right? Like some people love this event. They love it. Some people hate this event because it subsequently resulted in the launch of the New 52, even though it wasn't due to this. It was used as like a bridge. So I personally enjoy this event. I do have the trade. I have the issues. I do love the Flash. I highly recommend checking this event out, whether you like it or not. And ironically enough, we asked our viewers during the last DC compact video that we made, what's a book that you would like to see in this compact form? And a lot of viewers said Flashpoint, so we included it. I like
it would be
a
nice
lot.
too. I just want to add, because it's only 5, like the actual event's only 5 issues. It would be nice if they can add some of the like tie-ins.
There's so many tie-ins.
Like
there's so many.
I don't know, but like I forgot if it was the Aquaman or the Wonder Woman tie-in that was really good, and obviously any Thomas Wayne Batman tie-ins, those were always great too.
Yeah, those would be great as their own compacts as well. But yeah, like if they could find a way to fit more than one into it, that would be a sweet bang for buck, which, as we know, is the compact specialty. So next up, we've got Dark Knight's Metal. I mean, guys, Scott Snyder is having a resurgence when it comes to DC comics right now, with the release of Absolute Batman #1, as well as spearheading the entire All-In initiative with his partner and fellow co-worker Joshua Williamson. His partner in DC, not in life. Just clarify. So yeah, Dark Knight's Metal. Obviously, we've got the New 52 creative team of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo with inker Jonathan Glapian and Foucault Placencia. Guys, this book is gorgeous. Again, I feel like it's divisive. I feel like some people really love this event. Some people not so much. Some people think it's silly. I'm in the mix of all of those. I do really still enjoy this event. And I got to say, if you've never read this event, Baby Darkseid, that's a goated moment. Come on, Baby Darkseid. Baby Darkseid. Like, come on. Doesn't get better than Baby Darkseid. So yeah, highly recommend this run. At the end of the day, maybe it'll be a little bit confusing if you're not really familiar with that era of DC, but I feel like it's a decent starting point. It could get you really intrigued, wanting to learn more about what happened.
I think it is. I agree. It's like you said, it is pretty divisive too, but at the end of the day, it's just silly comic book fun, right?
Yeah. There's only a few of the picks here that we put that weren't related to DC, like media characters that were upcoming, and this is one of them. But it's still a good book that I think deserves the compact treatment. Next up, I'll talk about this one because I'm not familiar with this one. I'll admit, this is a weird, obscure pick, but if you haven't read this, it is incredible. This is one of my favorite DC comics of all time. It's Chase, as in Cameron Chase, the DEO agent, the DEO being the Department of Extranormal Affairs, or the Department of Extranormal something office or something like that, some bullshit like that. I forget, operations, something like that. Anyway, she works with I forget his name, the bone guy, the guy with the skeleton face who smokes. No. He was in the Stargirl show. I forget his name, and he was in the CW, in some of the CW stuff. Director Bones or something like that. The guy who appeared in is it Infinity Inc. or is it All-Star Squadron? I think it was All-Star Squadron. Back when McFarlane was doing the early issues. It's been a while since I've read this, guys. Anyway, fantastic run, a complete run. You get 9 issues, that's the whole run. And you get Chase 1 Million, which was part of it back in the day, the whole DC 1 Million thing. It's by Dan Curtis Johnson, J.H. Williams III, who's absolutely goated, and Mick Gray and Lee Lowridge. The art alone, in my opinion, is worth like the price of admission. The art in this book is insanely good. I mean, it's J.H. Williams III. It's insanely good. The story's fantastic as well. If you've not read her first appearance, which is also one of my favorite single issues, Batman number 550. I believe it's Doug Mensch and Kelly Jones that did that issue. I want to say that's the team. That's the first time she was introduced. There's a whole like Clayface story. She's her and Batman are trying to figure it out, and then they spun her off into her own series. So I do really love this book, and there hasn't really been much inclusion of this character in the recent DC universe. I feel like the last time we saw her was Infinite Frontier. Was that
was a while back.
Yeah, with the Dark Side and all that. So that was a while back, and it was with Director Bones. Yeah, so highly recommend this run if you haven't read it. You could probably find the single issues really, really cheap, but I feel like to get this in the compact form, to get the whole story in just one package and with the beautiful, gorgeous artwork, I think it will really intrigue people to that era of DC. Now, as you can see on the cover there's several like random characters like Clock King and other like minor characters that you don't really see often in DC. So reading is just a pleasure for fans of the DC universe. Next up, we've got Swamp Thing. Obviously, Swamp Thing is another character that's coming up in the DC universe. I believe there's a live action movie slated that is supposed to be directed by James Mangold, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So that's very exciting. He's directed a Wolverine movie in the past, and a lot of people like that one. I don't remember if he directed Logan or not. He might have. I forget. Sorry, it's been a while.
Not sure either.
Let me know. Yeah, let me know in the comments if y'all know if he directed Logan as well. But yeah, Swamp Thing by Scott Snyder. I mean, there were so many Swamp Thing runs you could highlight. And there's some caveats as to why I picked this one. I feel like this one has less exposure than some of the other iconic ones, especially since a lot of the other ones, whether it's like the Rick Vetch run or the Alan Moore run, they're all getting reprinted recently. Like there's just been 2 Swamp Thing omnibuses in the last few months. So, I mean, those are probably the best way to read them. But I thought for a compact edition, it would be really cool to get the New 52, the first trade of the New 52 in the compact edition. I just feel like it's gotten less exposure than the other runs. And the Swamp Thing by Alan Moore has been, printed in so many different forms. And I personally feel like if you're going to read that run, you should really get it in a bigger format because the artwork is gorgeous, gorgeous. So it's just really worth seeing it in that, in those larger formats. But yeah, I think there's a great place to start. Scott Snyder again doing some of his finest work during the New 52 era, and Yannick Paquette is an amazing artist. We haven't seen him in a while, but I'd love to see him do some books again. I can't remember the last time he's been on a book that wasn't just the covers. So fantastic stuff there. And Catwoman, Lonely City. Okay, this one we broke our rule. Okay, we broke 2 rules doing this one. Last time we said that we wouldn't do a character twice because Catwoman, as you can see right here, this is the compact I have in the back just to show off what the form looks like. And there's the Trial of the Catwoman by Darwin Cook and Ed Brubaker. This is a fantastic Catwoman run, probably some of the best Catwoman stories ever. But I feel like the same could be said about Catwoman Lonely City. So why did I put it on this list? I believe it's only been printed in the hardcover format, which I have.
Yes.
And the hardcover format is because this was a black label, big magazine size book, it's a big hardcover. Is it worth getting the hardcover? Absolutely. To me, this is one of the best Catwoman stories of all time. Gorgeous artwork, Cliff Chiang, just incredible stuff from Cliff Chiang. Honestly, if you haven't read this, please give it a chance. I think a good way to get this book into the eyes of the mainstream, because it did come out during a weird time during the pandemic. We're talking 2021, some of the during the close to the peak of the pandemic. So I don't know if as many people were exposed to this title as you would want. So I feel like putting it in the compact format could bring more eyes to it and probably get it to sell really well because it is an excellent story. Ali, have you read this?
I have not, but I think this would be pretty cool to see it printed in the compact form, right? Like on the smaller size book. That would be pretty interesting to see how they would do that. No, but I've definitely heard good things about this one. It's on the list for me.
So good. Honestly, incredible stuff. Next up, we've got Deadman. So Deadman, everybody knows, is getting a. There's rumors that there's an animated show in the works for Deadman, and there's
still in the DCU, though.
Yeah. And James Gunn's posted several images of him on social media like over the months. So James Gunn's clearly a fan of this character. I feel like this run is pretty underrated. So Deadman didn't really have his own title during the New 52, but there was a DC Universe Presents that spotlighted different characters, and sometimes in single issues, sometimes in like 3 or 4 or 5 issues. And in this case, it's 5 issues. He actually kicked off the volume with the Deadman the story's called 20 Questions, and it's like a reimagined origin for Deadman in the New 52 context. It's really good. I personally really like it. You've got Paul Jenkins on the script, who's no slouch. You've got Bernard Chang with gorgeous artwork, and then you've got Ryan Sook doing some beautiful cover work. So you got like just amazing creative team all around. and it's only 5 issues. And it's never been collected. I don't think it's been collected. I could be wrong. I'm not sure if there was a trade for DC Universe Presents for New 52, but either way, I would love to see this collected as its own Deadman trade, and I feel like the compact format would be the perfect place. I feel like Deadman is a character people know of from other media, like whether it's from cartoons, whether it's from animated series. I guess those two are one and the same thing in some senses, but he's not. I don't think there's a lot of people who are like hardcore fans of Deadman, so I feel like putting some more accessible stories for him out there will garner him a larger fan base. I'm personally a big Deadman fan. I love a lot of the Strange Adventures issues. I love a lot of his other issues, whether they were in the Adventure comics and his solo titles. So I do love the character. I even have these issues, but I would love to see them collected because I feel like that's more accessible.
And I agree, because especially recently, I feel like Deadman mostly has been a supporting character in other people's books, whether it be an event book and he kind of comes in, or kind of like the most recent Nightwing arc where
I love
he's helping him. Yeah, he's
to
always
see Bruno Redondo
help, but it's never really about him. Yeah.
This book's about him, and it's great. Like I highly recommend it. So yeah, would love to see this. Next up, we've got something I guarantee nobody's hardly anyone here has probably heard of. It's called Breach.
This has been going in deep with the cuts.
Yeah, think like a reimagination of a character like the Atom. Like it's kind of like that. I wouldn't say it's quite like that, but it's kind of like it. During this era, DC was very experimental. We had so many different people doing like tons of different things. I remember Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray did like Jonah Hex, and then they did Monolith, right? Their own character. They did all these random books, and DC was doing all these random books. I think of like Kinetic by Kelly Puckett. These books that like hardly anyone's heard of, but they're actually pretty damn good. And Breach is one of them. Just look at the talent on this book. You've got Bob Harris writing, Marcos Martin doing the art. You've got Javier Rodriguez doing the colors. That's insane. Like just the artwork alone on this book already sells me. Like I've read this book. It's fantastic. This book has never been collected. Never been collected. This book is lost to the ages. If you wanted to read this book, you would not be able to unless you found the single issues, which sucks. I think this book would be primed for the compact edition. I think it's good because it's going to open people's eyes to some of the underrated DC titles from that era, ones that aren't necessarily headliner, characters, but ones that are really just solid stories that people might be interested in. Like I said, Jonah Hex earlier, that run as well. That's an excellent run that has been out of print for a while. I'm pretty sure it's getting reprinted soon. There might be an omnibus. I'm out of touch a little bit with the omnibuses, but this is another one where I would just love to see this book be collected. It's just so good, guys. I could not recommend it enough. And if you ever see this in a dollar bin, probably can find it for $1 to $3, $4. Check it out. It's so good. It's so good. And there's other DC characters that make appearances throughout the issues. So if you like these, like Superman and stuff like that, you can take it from here.
Robin, the Lazarus Tournament. I can safely say this is one of the recent DC titles that I've collected every single issue that's come out with multiple covers, because let me say the creative team first. Joshua Williamson, Gleb Melenikov, George Corona, Max Dunbar, and Luis Guerrero. This run, for me, redefined Damian Wayne. It made him more of his own character without, Batman, Talia, League of Shadows, League of Assassins, whatever you want to call it. It made him the center of the story, and it really expanded on his character and gave him his own set of characters that aren't related to anybody else. They're related to Robin. There's plenty of characters that have other relations to other DC characters in it too. And then from the end of this run comes another event after it. But regardless of all that, the run within itself is fantastic. Amazing art, amazing fights, and a good story that kind of keeps you guessing, because there are a couple of twists at the end there that at least I didn't see coming. So if you haven't read Robin by Joshua Williamson, definitely give it a shot.
If you want to see Robin experience that growth that makes him like move away from the little shit name tag and really makes him embrace his own personality, like really grow as an individual, as a hero, as a person, I think this is the run for that. I think like Josh Williamson's one of the better Damian Robin writers out there. He's really matured him, and it's really sad to see a bit of a retrogression in the because basically, Josh Williamson then did Batman and Robin, which really is just a continuation of this, but then Philip Kennedy Johnson has taken over, and we seem to be going back to a slightly younger Damian who's still bratty,
more
I don't
immature,
love.
More immature.
I love this Damian. So there's also an amazing moment in issue 5 between Nightwing and Damian that really touches on all the Batman and Robin stuff back when Nightwing was Batman and Damian was Robin during that era before the New 52. So if you love that stuff, there's some cool stuff that addresses that here. Like Adi said, the art's beautiful. You get lots of first appearances, including Flatline, who is a mainstay now in the DC universe, and she's even like she showed up in other books, Batman and Robin, other things. A lot of people love her. I'm sure she's going to get her own figure pretty soon. And we also get the return of Connor Hawke, who's one of my favorite characters of all time. They do change him a bit here, but I still enjoyed this interpretation of him, and he's starting to mellow out and return back to his more introspective, persona. So I really love this run, and I couldn't recommend it more if you're a Robin fan. You'll really enjoy this one. So yeah, I think that's it for the 10 compact comics that we'd like to recommend to you. Thank you for joining us today. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Guys, we're always bringing you more content about DC Comics, Marvel Comics, runs we'd like to see. So let us know, what are some compact comics that you'd like to see, whether they're heroes, specific runs, something that you just like to be able to find for $9.99, the whole complete story that you think other people will enjoy. And then let us know what other characters you'd like to see us come up with DC Compact runs for our future videos. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time.